some special guests we're waiting on too. Let me see here.
All right, Delegate, we are live.
All right, thank you. Welcome everybody to the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee meeting. We have several bills to discuss and possibly vote out. Due to our, we have 6 bills. We'll be discussing House Bill, in this order, we'll be discussing House Bill 343, House Bill 335, House Bill 235, House Bill 200, House Bill 153, and House Bill 80. The reason we are going in reverse order is because we're going to start with bills that we haven't discussed yet, and we also have some special guests that have joined us. We want to make sure that we are being thoughtful with their time. And so we'll be starting from the back of the list that you have in front of you. So we're going to start things off with House Bill 343, Housing Development Projects, Housing Counseling Services, brought to us by Delegate Rosenberg. Ben, if you can provide us with a quick summary of what the bill does, and there are some amendments that we currently have, and we also have someone from DHCD to discuss some other amendments in order for the bill to meet some of the requirements that we think are necessary.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So as you mentioned, House Bill 343, the bill has a fiscal impact. However, the bill has been amended to address that. As amended, what the bill does is require the recipient of funding from the DHCD's Strategic Demolition Fund or the Baltimore Vacancy Reinvestment Initiative to provide information about housing counseling services that are available through the U.S. Department of Housing and Community Development to prospective residents before the execution of a contract to purchase the property. Yep.
Thank you. And I believe we also have an amendment from DHCD. If you can, I don't know if you all don't have that one, correct, Ben? People haven't seen that, right? You're gonna put it on the screen?
I can definitely put it on the screen, Mr. Chair.
If you put on the screen, and then we have Chuck Cook from DHCD is here to join us and can walk us through the amendment and why we need it, etc., and so forth. And I don't see the bill sponsor. Is Delegate Rosenberg here? I don't see him, but we'll go ahead and go to the Mr. Cook. And if Ben, when you get a chance, you can put the amendment on the screen. But Mr. Cook, if you can just describe the need, why we need the amendment and so forth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as you'll see on line 7 there, one of the things we're working out with the sponsor and also some of the community development organizations in Baltimore City, you'll see that what I think the sponsor is trying to get here, and I don't want to speak too much for him, but we want to ensure that with the Baltimore Vacancy Reinvestment Initiative, that as that money is flowing down and we're mitigating the vacancies throughout the city, that the folks that are receiving the housing at the end who are eligible to buy can go through some form of housing counseling. As originally drafted, this would have locked in all of our BVRI recipients, so those who are doing the teardowns and the rebuilds, to provide housing counseling services. And the problem with that is that it's actually not legal for them to do it because they need to be HUD certified housing counselors. So what this amendment does, and we have had the CDOs in the sponsors district talk to him about this. Again, double check with him, but we believe that this is a friendly amendment that he's okay with, because what it says more than anything else is it defines it as single family home ownership instead of all housing, because we want to stay focused on BVRI. And it says that a funding recipient shall provide information about housing counseling services that are available through HUD to prospective residents before the execution of a contract. So they have to provide information about it directly to the recipients of our money have to provide that to the final buyer, but they do not have to actually do the housing counseling themselves. And so we wanted to make sure we didn't run afoul of that. And that is the purpose of this amendment that you're seeing on the screen on line 7 of page 2, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Are there any questions for Mr. Cook for members of the subcommittee? Ben, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to add that, as you can see on the screen, there's also the reduction in the appropriation from 200,000 to 90,000 to address the fiscal note.
The amendment.
Yes, the amendment.
Got it. Okay. I just texted Delegate Rosenberg. My understanding is that he is fine with this amendment. But you know what they
That's
say.
right. That's my understanding as well.
You know, once the bill comes to our subcommittee, I was told as a young delegate that it's no longer your bill anyway. But you know, it's the courtesy we have, but it's our bill now. I see someone from Delegate Rosenberg's office is here. I'm sorry, but I'll turn over to Delegate Chi first. Delegate Chi.
Oh, I just wanted to say move the amendment, and I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anybody heard me, so I just want to test my mic and see if I can participate.
Are we moving both amendments? Because we do have two. Can we move both at the same time, Ben?
Mr. Chair, if we're referring to the amendment that we just reviewed, including the one that addresses the fiscal impact, that's one amendment. So yeah,
so we'll move this one. Okay. So is there a second to move the amendment?
Second.
All right, we got a second. All right. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The amendment is now moved. I will go ahead and I see someone from Delegate Rosenberg's office is here. Just want to make sure we give them a chance to respond.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify for everyone, Delegate Rosenberg hasn't had a chance to review the amendment yet, just because our office just got it and he's been at a committee hearing. He's actually at the table right now testifying for judiciary, but he hasn't had a chance to review it.
All right, Delegate Chi.
So it's my understanding, as Mr. Chair, you just indicated, this is no longer Delegate Rosenberg's bill. It's our committee's job to decide if we adopt the amendment or not, right?
That is correct, and the amendment has been adopted. So, Madam Vice Chair.
Yeah, thank you. And I just think I'll just point out, like, it would be inconsistent with, federal law and state law about who can and can't provide housing counseling if we didn't have the amendment. So I don't think it substantially changes it. It actually allows the bill to be compliant with other laws.
Right. That's the way I view it as well. All right. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? Did somebody clarify who's paying for it again? And is it a Baltimore City bill or only bill, or is this universal?
So I'll turn it over to either
Chuck. Chuck might be able to answer that.
Yeah, well, Chuck. Yeah, Chuck. You want to? Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Cook. Would you like to answer that? You still here?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I would say that with this being, as it has been amended to just have to say, as condition of receipt of funding from the department from the Strategic Demolition Fund or the Baltimore Vacancy Reinvestment Initiative, SDF is statewide, Delegate Arentz. And BVI is in the city, so it does cover the entire state.
Yeah, and then where are the funds?
Go ahead, say it. I'm sorry. You could repeat that, Chuck. I'm sorry.
That because it's SDF and BVRI, Strategic Demolition Fund, and Baltimore Vacants, it covers the entire state from Garrett to Somerset.
And did you say it's coming from CEF also?
No, nothing's coming from CEF funding.
Oh, I thought, okay, what was the first word you used on that? I apologize.
SDF, Strategic Demolition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Delegate Weibel.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I was just curious, could you refresh my memory as to why the counseling is necessary and what issue we're trying to address here?
Let me go back. Pull it back up. Or Mr. Gupta, did you want to answer that question? Or does?
Yeah, well, I can speak to the BVRI a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I guess these are the units that are part of BVRI are ones that have been probably like vacant for a long time, and they're just trying to get people into those units and trying to like reduce these vacant residences within Baltimore. So that may be like, they may come at a lower cost. They may have like some maintenance issues, a lot of things that maybe first time home buyers who are maybe like more attuned to those or more wanting to go to those units because they have a lower price might need to know a lot of information surrounding it. So that's why specifically for BVRI, it would be in need of like possibly housing counseling services, because the people who are going to be the ones purchasing that may not have all the information, or they may be like uninformed first-time home buyers, things of that nature.
So is this counseling for budgeting purposes? So they know there's improvements hanging out there that need to be made, or just basically basic home ownership, or what?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is like the counseling is not limited to one particular thing. It would be like any service or any information that a housing counselor could provide.
And it's required for them then to acquire one of these properties?
It's, well, as amended, it's like the counseling is not required anymore. It's just now they're just, you know, having the information about the counseling services.
So they're just providing information that counseling services are available. And it's still got a $90,000 fiscal note just to hand out a pamphlet?
Yeah, well, that part, again, since Delegate Rosenberg hasn't been able to like review the amendment, now maybe the fiscal note could be reviewed, but that's again, it's now amended, so it's a little bit of a different bill.
Well, it was knocked down from 200,000 to 90,000.
Yes.
I'm assuming somebody reviewed the fiscal note, right?
So the 90,000 was actually Delegate Rosenberg's amendment from before. So there was a couple of amendments that are now included in this new one. So the new part is the providing information instead of agreeing to offer. That's the new part. But before, it was still BVRI, it was still single family housing, and it was still agreeing to offer. So that's why the fiscal note and what it is now don't really match up or makes sense, if that answers your question.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna, Madam Vice Chair.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I think that the 90,000 actually goes to housing counseling services, not to the people who are handing out pamphlets. I'll ask the council to clarify if he thinks something differently, but the way that I read it is those two organizations are required to hand out pamphlets or whatever that referral process is. And separate from that, there's a designated $90,000 a year that goes to counseling services.
That's my understanding as well, but I'll let Ben confirm. That's why I wanted to make sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's correct. That's my understanding, as well as indicated that it's providing housing counseling services under this section. So,
all right, I think Delegate Aaron's has his hand up.
Yeah, the question I have: what is counseling services? What do you consider counseling services?
Ben, you want to provide the definition?
yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The HUD counseling program, I think we heard a little bit about this at the bill hearing too, but what it's doing is providing, it's typically these services to home buyers, lower income individuals, to help improve financial literacy, understandings of home ownership, and improving access to housing. So I don't know if Mr. Cook has anything to add, Chair Amprey, but that's my understanding of this.
I got a question, only because for a realtor typically does this, and I assume these are going to be non-realtor based homes where real estate realtors aren't involved. That they're going to be providing what I do that for a living. Typically, when I get somebody searching for a house, that's what I do. I counsel them. I try to give them the options for everything they're looking at as far as the quality of home, do inspections and whatever. And you're saying we're going to cover that because they're low-income homes. Is that right?
I think the understanding is that it's not because they're low-income homes. It's because they've been vacant, and there's a possibility that there's more layers to approaching the because you could have a home that potentially has a great value, it's just been vacant for a long time. So I think the purpose here is to make sure folks have access to every understanding to what they are embarking upon. And some of these folks, this is their first time in providing property. So we want to make sure they have what they need to be successful.
Please understand, though, that's something that I do in my job. That's what I do for a living. is when I meet somebody looking for a house, I'm the guy, I can counsel them. I give them the disclosures, the things we should be looking at. If you ever looked at a real estate contract, those types of things are in the contract already, so everybody's covered by these things. We offer the disclosures for, the sewer, water, septic, and whatever you want to talk about. That's kind of a function I perform, and I just don't know how that fits into what I do. And are we circumventing people like me for this, or are these typically homes that realtors would not be involved in?
I don't think it's circumvention. I think it's just a matter of adding extra protections to support people. But correct me if I'm wrong, Ben or Mr. Gupta.
Well, they're taxpayer dollars. That's right? That we're adding to provide a service that I provide. People like me, not me specifically, but.
No, I understand your question and rationale. Delegate Charkoudian, you're on mute.
I was trying to look at the language at the same time, and Mr. Cook may be able to jump in. It's my understanding that HUD certified this kind of counseling is a very specific thing that is designed for first-time home buyers, generally low-income individuals who are first-time home buyers who might come in with a range of challenges related to having had significant limited income most of their life, not had a home in the past. And the goal of this kind of counseling is to maximize their success in this new home. And I think in a lot of cases, there may not have been a real estate agent because they bought it as sort of part of one of these programs. In some cases, there may have been a real estate agent, but the typical kind of guidance that a real estate agent does a great job of supporting a home buyer on is, I think, substantially different from what the HUD certified program is that supports someone to maximize their likelihood of success as a low-income new first-time home buyer. And so with that, I would like to move the bill as amended.
I think we got to still add one more amendment.
Didn't we just move the amendment with both of the amendments on it?
I think we only moved the one amendment, correct, Ben?
Mr. Chair, my understanding is that because the amendment that we've been discussing is part of one amendment in total, that's just the one amendment. That's helpful.
Got it. So the amendment that we circulated is no longer relevant. Is that what you're saying?
No, Mr. Chair. The amendment that I believe your chief of staff circulated and the one that the subcommittee has been discussing is the amendment that the subcommittee has considered.
Got it. I'm just trying to make sure because
both the original changes, 90 million and adding the statewide aspect, and the new changes of certified HUD referrals, all of that is in the same thing that we just looked at. That's what Lily just, Delegate Chi just moved a minute ago.
90,000, not 90 million.
What did I say, 90 million? Yeah. There's another amendment for 90 million.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we got all these amendments covered. Okay, now I see it. The amendment covers both. Okay. All right, so we have a motion to move the bill as amended. Is there a second?
I thought Delegate Adams already seconded.
No, that was to move the amendment. This is to move the bill as amended.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Second to move the bill as amended. Adams, you want to do it again?
I'll second the motion.
All right, awesome. All right, so we have motion on the floor to move the bill as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Aye.
Hands up so we can get a count. And then all in opposition say no.
No.
Okay.
No.
So the no's are just Aaron's and Wowell.
We're voting.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to our next bill. Sorry, y'all. That is another Rosenberg special. And I think we're going to quickly discuss and likely hold this bill. This is HB 335. This was the bill, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong in the summary, the bill that would create the requirement that if a road has been taken on by a local municipality or county for more than 20 years, it becomes the responsibility of that municipality or county. And I believe that there are some issues on possible costs related to the bill for our local municipalities and counties that have been raised by MACO. and MML. So if MML or Mako want to briefly describe their issues, and then we'll probably hold this bill for another conversation. But if you could just, if I see we have, I'm trying to see who we have here. Y'all, MML and Mako, y'all can, Michael, you can go ahead and go first, Mike, real quick. If you want to just describe what the possible issues with the bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm Michael Sanderson with the Maryland Association of Counties. Looks like Bill George from MML is also online. I think we're in line with one another on this bill. I think the long and the short is from your local governments. It looks like the breadth of this bill is wider than we initially thought. And I'll cards on the table. Mako took a look at this bill initially and thought this might be a local constituent concern, narrowly drafted and maybe not a big enough deal to affect the counties. We brought this before Mako's legislative committee, and we had jurisdictions, both large and small, saying this sort of arrangement, particularly the idea of we'll go ahead and plow the road this one time because it's a big storm and we're happy to be helpful where we can. We're concerned that this bill's breadth could end up capturing not just handfuls, but scores and scores of different roads that have come into these informal relationships. And this bill would codify that the local governments would now be duty bound to maintain and own and take care of all these different roads where there's no piece of paper, there's no formal agreement. It was, we did a favor for a guy one time, and now 14 years later, we own the road forever. We're really concerned. This goes, we think, further than the court case from St. Mary's County a few years ago on narrow conditions for one particular road. That's the summary of our concern with the bill.
Okay, thank you. Bill, do you have anything else to add? Me Too works too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Michael summarized a lot of our concerns. We are in alignment with Mako on this. I understand that this is kind of trying to codify some case law that's already been in existence. And, as we know, sometimes, the narrow circumstances of that particular case are not necessarily, applicable when we apply it statewide in a much more, statutory format. I think that Michael touched on it a little bit. I think that the fiscal note, I think is real in that, if we, as a local government, were, repairing a road, filling a pothole here and there, should that road become part of the public road network, then there are potentially massive upgrades that need to be made to that road to bring it to public road standards. This includes paving, sidewalks, line of sight, streetlights, crosswalks, all sorts of stuff. And just the idea that, a road, a piece of property can transfer to a public entity without any sort of affirmative action by that public entity just brings up all sorts of legal ambiguity. Our folks like operating in certainty. And, it's a little troubling to think about, when exactly after 20 years, the local government takes ownership. It just brings up a lot of questions and, it's just some real concerns.
All right, thank you. Delegate Weibel, you have a question for our guests?
Yeah, because I've raised those similar questions at the bill hearing. This bill has so many, up our way with the county doesn't even, there's many roads where they just started using, years ago, and you don't even know what the road width, what the right of way is or anything else. I just think this has a massive impact on counties like ours. I could see maybe within a municipality, it's a little different because you have alleyways and all that stuff that's kind of dedicated between, property lines and whatever. Yeah. And the bill sponsor didn't even know what the road width, the dedication might be. It would vary all over the place. I just think if he has a specific road that he's trying to address an issue, can he put a bill in to address that specifically instead of dragging all these other non-public roads into this bill?
Yeah, no, valid points, Delegate Weibel. Delegate Aaron, we get to see your face now, my man. What's going on?
I just want to give you a little taste of honey.
That's kind of scary.
I guess this has a little bit of relevance in my county because my county has helped support roads that are in communities that have been developed, and those communities are now running into more trouble than they had before. And part of that problem is that I don't know, part of the problem is just actually figuring out that 20-year thing. So
Yeah.
I can let it go here, but I'm not a big jumping up and down about this bill. But thank you.
No, I thank you for your feedback. And I think that given the financial constraints that we're all in, I think we should take some more time to analyze this bill a little further. And I still haven't got a chance to really understand as a lawyer, in my free time, I love reading opinions. Wink, wink, not really. But I need to read the actual opinion to see how, because this bill was told that we're codifying something, but I need to understand fully what we were codifying. So I think for now, it's best that we hold this bill. And I think that we'll hold on to it. We'll discuss it further. We'll see what we can possibly do to address something later. But I appreciate the bill sponsor for bringing the bill forward, because it is something that is important to his district, but we'll figure out a solution of some sort. We'll figure it out, but let's hold it for now. And we'll, if everybody's okay with that, we'll move on to our next bill, because I think this next bill also has, wow, was your hand up for now or from earlier? Okay, cool. Next bill, House Bill 235. I think we have some special guests from 335 that are going to speak on this one as well. Ben, can you give a quick summary on this bill, and then the amendments that have been offered? And I think that Mayco MML are part of those amendments as well. But Ben, can you give us a quick refresher on this bill? I think this was a bill that the committee kind of liked.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HB 235, Housing and Community Development, Neighborhood Business Development Program, Local Approval Requirement. This is a DHCD departmental. There's no fiscal impact. As amended, what the bill does is alter the number of days from 45 to 15 that a political subdivision has to approve or deny an application for financial assistance under the Business Development Program, which is known as Neighborhood Business Works. Mr. Chair, we were working with Mayco and MML and DHCD, and it's my understanding that these entities support the amended version of the bill that I believe has been distributed to the committee. And I can also pull the bill up if that's helpful.
Yeah, if you want to pull the bill up, but I'll let Mr. Sanderson from Mayco, if you want to add any further comments about the amendment and where you all stand on the bill now.
Grateful for the compromise. I think this will work great.
Awesome. All right. Is there a motion to adopt the amendments?
Adopt the amendment.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. The amendments have been adopted. The amendments have been offered and seconded. All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Put your hand up so we can keep a good count. All in opposition, say no. Hearing none, the amendments move favorably. Is there a motion to move the bill as amended? Or is there, do we have a discussion first? Any discussion?
No, go ahead and move it. I have a discussion point after we get the motion second.
All right, cool. All right. Motion to move the bill as amended.
Move the bill as amended.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. Is there a discussion on the bill as amended?
Please.
Yes, Mr. Delegate Adams, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so just briefly, with Mayco's amendments, are we saying that all the counties are lined up on this? I'm just trying to make sure that we feel good about this vote before we run with it. And I'm sorry, I was listening to you, but I was also reading the bill while you were talking.
I'll try and respond on behalf of county governments, saying we had a good conversation about this bill. The 15 days in almost all circumstances allows the governing body of each county to get a chance to take this up and take action if they want to. So the concern was timing. 15 days gives us a reasonable bite at the apple to at the very least flag if there's a local problem with parking or public safety or something like that. We're comfortable.
All right, and just so I want to make sure I am capturing this. So within 15 days, if there's any further review, the clock stops and then the county does what's necessary to look after their concerns? Or are you saying they've got to cover all their business in 15 days?
I think the 15-day window is a sufficient time for the counties to get our input to the department. I think they would work in good faith with us if there were something to run down, something to flag or whatnot. So I'm confident this will be collaborative, but the idea of doing this quickly, we're sensitive to that. I think this is a good compromise in that direction.
Okay, so you feel good that as a rural representative that I'd be on the right side of the general theme of the membership.
I think so.
Voting for the bill. Okay.
All right, Delegate Aaron's.
I was just following up on Chris's point. Michael, you didn't say that they are good with it. You said you think they are. Is that true or false?
I have not had an opportunity to share every word of the sort of reprint bill with every single county and do a poll and so forth. I hope you would take it as a good representation. Our members are going to be fine with this process.
Okay.
I'm very confident.
I'm
Yeah.
good. Thanks.
All right, Delegate Chi.
Yes, so during the hearing, I specifically asked the bill presenters if during the process of evaluating the grants, they would be engaging of local players and local governments. And the answer was absolutely. So this should not be the first time local government has a chance to take a look at what the grantees are and all of that. There should have been an engaging process. So this 15 days simply is giving local government an opportunity to flag any issues if they consider to be issues, as Mr. Sanderson said. So they should have done the work beforehand. So there'll be no surprises, hopefully, because they are trying to give money to the businesses located in those counties,
No, thank you, Delegate Chi. That's a great clarifying point, and I do remember that part from the hearing. So thank you for raising that again. All right, so it looks like we're done with discussion, and with the motion is to move the bill as amended. All in favor of moving the bill as amended, say aye.
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 Your hand up if you can, please. All in opposition, say no. Bill moves favorably. It looks like we have a unanimous yes on this one. I love when that happens. I love it. That's great. All right, House Bill 200. This is the required flood risk disclosure. I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think we have Delegate Lehman is here, but Ben, can you give us a quick breakdown on the bill and the amendments again, and then we'll turn over to Delegate Lehman if you have any updates. I know there was conversation between the realtors and the
Yes. Hi, Mr. Chairman. Hello, Subcommittee, Housing and Real Property Subcommittee members. This subject, your subject matter here in this subcommittee is near and dear to me since I served on it over in ENT for a number of years. I thought you were doing AC first. I had to have my staff go grab HB 200.
We're going backwards. We're going backwards. Go ahead.
No worries. I have my binder here in front of me, my trusty notes. So the flood risk disclosure law is actually supported by realtors, and because their view is that it helps sellers and buyers of single-family homes that have had a history of flooding or in the floodplain and therefore a greater risk of flooding in the future. And it basically adds to an existing list of disclosure rules that someone selling a home has to comply with. And it's like a worksheet that would be developed by MDE, and this is how it's done in other states. The most recent state to pass a law was New Jersey, and we kind of modeled ours after New Jersey since we're both coastal states. But 30 states already have a very similar law to what we're proposing. I don't know the history of why Maryland does not, whether it was ever tried before. But from the time I approached the realtors about it, they said, we've actually been looking to do this for many years. And they did have they gave feedback on a number of exemptions, like homes that are sold as part of like estate sales, brand new homes. There's a laundry list. And I was in agreement with that. It would take effect because MDE, I guess, needs time to develop that disclosure form, and so it would begin the requirement for the sellers to disclose the flood risk history and the information to a purchaser, and that is before they enter into a contract. That would be July 1 of 2027, so a year from now. And the rough, generally the disclosure, it can be summarized as 8 things. Whether the property is in a FEMA designated special flood hazard area, and that means it has a 1% annual chance of flooding, or if it's in a moderate risk flood hazard area, that means it has a 0.2% annual chance of flooding. Whether federal law actually requires insurance on the property, whether the owner actually has flood insurance on the property, because just because it's required doesn't mean the person necessarily has it. Whether the seller has received any financial compensation from FEMA in the past for any flood damage, and whether the seller has knowledge of damage caused by a variety of sources, which include like heavy rainfall, coastal storm surge, or inundation from tidal areas or rivers. So yeah, that's essentially what it does. And if I can answer any questions, happy to do so.
I'm on mute.
I'm on mute.
I'm sorry, y'all. Ben, can you just update us? Can you give us a brief? Thank you, Delegate Lehman. Can you give us a brief understanding of what the amendments do, real quick, before we vote on them?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The bill is amended. As amended. What the amendments are doing are clarifying the application of the bill, which is in keeping with the Seller Property Condition and Disclosure Act, which is an existing disclosure requirement for homes. It does things like homes that have been occupied, they're not unimproved real property, not foreclosures or tax sales where there might not be that type of knowledge. The other thing the amendment is doing is it's striking language about requirement that the seller provides an accounting of money received from claims filed for flood damage, because that accounting may not be available, or may, time has passed, so that information might not be available. And then also removes the requirement about disclosing the number of times flooding events have occurred on the property.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much. Delegate Arentz.
Yeah, does this mean, you made some comments there that the number of times it's been exposed to flood, did you say that's part of this, or that was removed?
Mr. Chair.
Is that a question for me, or you want to?
For Ben. Ben just made the comment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, what was removed, I believe, and Ben, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you have that in front of you and I do not, was specific evidence of like canceled checks or receipts or whatever of damage of money, like claims that someone had received.
So,
but what has stayed in there
my question
is whether someone actually received a federal payment, which
Delegate,
I think
my question was, do they have to provide that, or is this just that it's in a floodplain? I thought the bill was about when I sell a home, I have to make the buyer
it's
aware.
both. It's whether it's in the floodplain and whether it has flooded, whether that seller can say whether it has a past history of flooding, and then also whether it's in the floodplain, whether federal law requires, again, this is a form that they're filling out where they're saying yes or no. Like the question would be, does federal law require insurance on this property that you are selling? And you'd say yes or no. So you're not writing out like a long, handwritten disclosure. It's a form that MDE is going to develop.
Okay, you just said that opposite though. You said I got a form, I marked it. Yes, it's in a floodplain. That's easy to identify. But then you started saying that if I have a knowledge of that, I have to provide receipts for what was in the flood, what happened, or is this just a disclosure that it's in the floodplain?
It's just whether the seller has knowledge of flood damage caused by a variety of sources, and whether there has been whether the seller has received financial compensation from a federal agency, but they don't have to provide records of that. Again, that's a yes or no question. Have you received money, following flooding from, I can't think of frankly who it would be other than FEMA. There might be one other agency that has the potential to provide compensation, but if there is, that it's escaping me.
Okay, I guess
Ben, do
my
you want to
question
say
would be
again
then
what
is
you
if
meant
I
with
have to tell
stop?
you that if I have to tell you that it was in a floodplain and I spent money to repair stuff, does that have to be disclosed?
I don't have that scenario right in front of me. Ben, are you listening? My staff, I think, is listening. I think I believe it only involves a claim. Is Bill Costelli with the Realtors, in this meeting by any chance? Mr. Chairman or someone?
I don't see him here. I don't see anybody from the realtors. But Ben, can you confirm that? Delegate Aaron, can you ask your question again real quick?
Yeah, I want to know what this involves because I heard two different things. One, I don't have a real problem with disclosing them in a floodplain. That's pretty simple to do, and I assume that the seller has to provide that. The other part would be is it was mentioned that if it was in a floodplain and there was damage, I have to have information on that. And I have to provide that information. It's getting a little deeper than just disclosing that's in a floodplain. You know, we're all aware of that. You have to, then that's your due diligence. I've let you know it's in a floodplain, but I'm hearing more and more that I have to have records potentially. If FEMA gave me money, I have to provide those records and keep all that information. I don't know that that's something that the realtors agreed to.
Okay, I'm reading directly from the bill, unless the, Realtors or anyone else wanted a further amendment. Whether the vendor, this is all related to payment. Yeah, it's on page 3 of the bill, Delegate Aaron's. Whether the vendor, the seller, I don't know why they call it a vendor, the seller, whether the seller has knowledge of any past occurrence where where an owner received aid for flood damage, and here are the agencies on the property from FEMA, the U.S. Small Business Administration, or other federal disaster assistance programs. And then there's the requirements about whether the seller currently has flood insurance, and whether the seller has knowledge of any claims filed for flood damage. Again, whether they have knowledge, including with the National Flood Insurance Program, and then whether the seller has knowledge that the property experiences or has experienced any flood damage. And then that, goes further describing from different sources like seepage, pooled water from natural floods, flooding caused by heavy rainfall, coastal storm surge.
I
So
get
it
that,
doesn't, in the bill, it doesn't talk about receipts or, canceled
Okay, let me
checks or
get to
anything
my
like
other
that.
question and my final question. Is this a disclosure or a disclaimer, or is this a disclosure?
Disclosure.
There's no disclaimer on this because when we do home inspections, we have to, there's a disclosure in there that you can opt to take the disclosure to say, I have knowledge of A, B, C, D, and E, and F, and G about this house. And then there's a disclaimer saying, I know I don't know that. I can sit back and say, okay, I have flood insurance. I can disclaim that I know anything else about that. And I'm not sure that's in this bill. And I'm not sure, I'd like to clarify with the realtors if that was their intent to say this will be disclosed also.
Yeah, the title of the bill is required flood risk disclosure. The word disclaimer is not anywhere in here. Flood risk disclosure statement, its disclosure is used consistently, like multiple times. The department, and this is directing MDE, will develop, publish, and maintain a real property flood risk disclosure statement. In the next paragraph, this is on page 2, line 20, the flood risk disclosure statement form shall, at a minimum. There's no mention of the word disclaimer. And again, this is, as Mr. Voigt said, this adds to and I was afraid, actually, the exemptions were too broad until I talked to Mr. Costelli, and he said, Delegate, those are all the same exemptions and all the other disclosures we already do. It might seem broad to you, but those are all standard exemptions. The ones you heard about: tax sales, foreclosures, a sale of a property where through an estate, like the owner has died. Those are standard exemptions.
I think I have an answer for you, Delegate Aaron. So I just, I have magic powers, and Bill Costelli just joined our meeting, so he can confirm.
Perfect.
Realtors are good with this. Mr. Costelli, can you please confirm that? And then after that, I'm sorry, Madam Vice Chair, if you still have a question, but Bill, Mr. Costelli, can you please confirm?
Yeah. The realtors were the ones who proposed the amendments, and Delegate Arentz, it does operate as a disclosure form. So this would be disclosure. One of the things that you had asked about in terms of whether you would need to, provide kind of the background material, if you received assistance and, from FEMA and show that you've spent that money, that was stricken from the bill. But the bill does disclose or require disclosure if there have been flooding events. So there's not, unlike the disclosure disclaimer law, it doesn't provide a disclaimer portion, but it does require that you at least disclose what those flooding events were. And there's a website on EPA that you can, put your address in, and it tells you whether you're in any of those flood zones that are required by the bill.
That's the flood zone. I get that. I'm talking about the disclosure of the flood and what could have happened in the past. Now, arguably, somebody could say, I didn't know that. And it's just like our disclosure disclaimer when we're doing a home inspection. We do that. And, you sit back and there's a legal liability to some of this that I'm concerned about for realtors and for the home seller. That's what I'm talking about, because we do that when we sell a home and we go through a disclosure disclaimer. Typically, I could tell you I'm selling the house. I was just asking a question on this thing. The original intent was to tell you I'm in a flood zone. That's fine. But for somebody to allude that I maybe knew of this flood in 1936 because my grandparents might have known somebody, that's a disclosure. I find that odd.
Well, it's not, you wouldn't be disclosing information you don't know. I mean, the legal requirement for sellers is actual knowledge. So they wouldn't be required to know, kind of prior history that wasn't.
Let me say it this way. My parents lived there when I was a kid. I don't remember it, but I'm in my parents' house. But yet somebody's going to say, well, the kid was in 6th grade when that happened. He has to know it, and I'm liable. Am I right or wrong?
So, I mean, it's an actual knowledge standard for an owner. So if you're the owner of the property, you're disclosing it. There, a real estate agent actually has a should have known standard, as you know, but like the actual owner has an actual knowledge standard, if that makes sense.
Not right this minute, but go ahead.
All right. It sounds like it might need to be an offline conversation, but I will, the realtors are fine with the bill. So I think right now we're still discussing the amendment. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. With the understanding that the realtors and NIOP and all the other opposition worked with the bill sponsor on these amendments, I'd like to move these amendments.
So the motion for the amendments to move, is there a second?
Second.
All right, the amendments have been moved and seconded. All in favor of the amendments, say aye. Please raise your hand to count. All right, here, Adam.
Aye.
Aaron, so you got your hand up. All right. So it looks like we got everybody on board with the amendments. All right, is there a motion to move the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended.
All right,
The bill as amended.
All right, I think I heard a second. You hear a second? Okay, I
Yes,
heard okay,
second.
Gary seconded. All right. All in favor of the bill as amended, say aye. Raise your hand. All right. And any opposed, raise your hand. All right.
No, I get it.
Adams is a no on this.
Adams is a no. Aaron's is a no. Wyville, where are you? Are you a no as well? No. Okay. So it's party line vote. All right. Thank you. All right. Next bill. All right. We're moving along here, folks. We got 2 more bills left. House Bill 153, residential rental apartments, the air conditioning requirement. We've heard this bill. We've talked about it pretty thoroughly. I think that I forget why we ultimately, Ben, can you refresh your memories why we paused to bring this bill back?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was some discussion about the Baltimore Area Housing Authority's exemption. And then there was also, any members, of course, can speak to it as well. I believe there was some discussion about substantial in the meaning of that.
Yep. So that's right. It was substantial. That was the other tidbit. I think we had someone from the Baltimore Housing Authority is supposed to join us. Ian, are they here? Because
yes, delegate. It's our Lisa.
Hey, so I think there is some concerns around this carve out in the bill given, why are we carving out the HABC? I'll be honest, I think some people have brought up some valid concerns that why are we saying that, people who are living in public housing don't deserve the access to air conditioning if there's a substantial renovation that's done. So if you can give us some context onto why this was added, and then we can have a conversation.
Good afternoon, Chairman Emprey. I'm joined by Monica Watkins, our Chief Operating Officer here at the Housing Authority of Baltimore City. We stand by the bill and that it's the cost related to installing air conditioning in all of our units. But if you want something more specific, Monica can answer that question.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Special greetings to you, Delegate Lehman. I think this is like the third year we've been talking and discussing this bill. And quite frankly, it's not HABC's desire to prohibit air conditioning for our residents. They do have access, as long as they're not blocking an egress, to install or have installed window units. The issue for the roughly 6,000 public housing units is that on average, they're about 80 years old. And so when you talk about the physical units themselves, that kind of upgrade to central air conditioning in these brick and concrete units would mean that we are shrinking, and I apologize for the background noise. We're actually at an event. That we will be shrinking the square footage of the units in order to add the infrastructure that will be needed to install the central air. In addition, most of our properties have the original electrical infrastructure. That means that HABC maintains their electrical infrastructure, not BG&E. So it would require an upgrade both on the side of BGE with their equipment and also with HABC with our on-site infrastructure. Worst case probably, or worst example of that is at Cherry Hill. We recognize with a series of outages and brownouts all throughout the year, whether it's during the storm season and sometimes during the snow season, we've had to Band-Aid a lot of our equipment because it's vintage. A lot of things aren't being produced or manufactured anymore. So to completely overhaul an electrical system, to incorporate being able to even sustain adding central air to all of our developments, just for Cherry Hill alone, we're looking at upwards of $15 million. And the reason I know that is because we have been working with BG&E for the last 4 years to determine how can we get to a good medium where they are taking part of their infrastructure costs, and then we are also sharing some of the infrastructure costs to be able to upgrade to just stop the outages that we currently have. Now, one of the things that we propose for the last couple of years in meetings with Delegate Lehman's team is that we are in the process of redeveloping quite a bit of our inventory. If anyone is familiar with the Perkins Somerset Old Town redevelopment, we took 629 units and we brought back over 1,300 units. And all of those new units do have the infrastructure that you're looking for in affordable housing. So there's evidence that we are not against public housing residents having access to air conditioning. Clearly, we're building it in to all of the redevelopment we have planned. And there are a series of other redevelopment projects that are in the pipeline. So I just would ask that the response that we sent be considered and upheld to exclude HABC from having to install, pretty much overhaul our electrical system just to be able to support this, because it would not work without doing that.
Thank you for that context. I think it was Delegate Weibel who brought up this question, and I'll defer to him to ask any more questions. But just to confirm, Ben, as the bill is written, so based on what you all provided as far as information, it sounds like the upgrades would be cost prohibitive. But I mean, a lot of private developers would have that same issue. So it's an interesting carve out. However, you all just told me that you all do provide window units for all your homes are allowed to have.
They're allowed to have them. We do not provide them.
Correct. If a resident comes to HABC with a reasonable accommodation that they need a window air conditioning unit, then HABC does, we do accommodate that reasonable accommodation. But they would have to go through the process of requesting it and proving that they need the air conditioning.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I might, the purpose of the bill is to require the landlord to do that, not to put it on the tenant. And I do feel like there's a little bit of mixed message going on here from the Housing Authority. I've tried to work with them the last 2 years. I told you earlier today when we discussed this that housing advocates do not support this carve out. They think it's unfair to low income people. But what the mixed message part is that, on the one hand, the electrical systems for this housing stock, and by the way, because I have the language in front of me, it's not all Baltimore City public housing stock. The way they defined it for us last year was specifically units built between 1940 and 1950. And then row houses that apparently are scattered around the city that were acquired and rehabbed by the Housing Authority, specifically between the years 1960 and 1997. That is the specific part of the housing stock that is exempt. But the point about the mixed messages is, on the one hand, these electrical panels, especially in what they refer to as their legacy housing, their oldest housing, is so old it can't accommodate this. But then on the other hand, they said to me, if there are residents with, health problems, respiratory issues, or just really elderly, and come and say, I really, really need and want a window unit, they will give them the go ahead. As they said, they have to pay for it, but they accommodate them. So it's like, that's a little bit confusing to say, on the one hand, the electrical panel can't handle it or will have brownouts or whatever else. And on the other hand, but if people come to us on a case by case basis, we try to accommodate them. So I think that's a little, contradictory.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go to Delegate Weibel.
Well, I think they kind of just made my point. If it's good for everybody, it's good for everybody, right? I mean, it's like the bill we had the other day. Somebody come in and testified, I'm okay with this bill as long as you exempt me. And that's basically what we're asking here. Every issue that the Baltimore Housing Authority just stated can apply to everybody who also provides private rental properties in the state. So I just think if you're going to require it for one person, it has to be required for everybody. So I'm not a fan of the bill in the first place, but it seems somewhat arrogant that we would exempt somebody just because of cost and their electrical system has to be upgraded. That could apply statewide.
Yeah, Delegate Charkoudian.
Thank you. I want to ask maybe council to clarify. The requirement for air conditioning kicks in with the substantial renovations or before the substantial renovations? I wanted to understand the substantial renovation part.
Great, thank you. In the bill, it applies beginning June 1, 2026 for newly constructed residential rental units. And the general application of the bill is for rental units in apartment buildings with 4 or more individual dwelling units.
The row houses are out. Okay, keep going.
And then there's the second application part, which is beginning October 1, 2026 for residential rental units that undergo renovation that includes the replacement or substantial upgrade of electrical systems or heating systems.
Okay. So it seems that the issue of the systems can't handle it. It would the requirement would kick in when the systems are being upgraded. So I don't see any reason to exempt the housing authority. You'd be doing the upgrades anyways, and then this requirement would kick in. So my preference would be to, I guess it's to amend the bill to continue to include the housing authority.
All right, so are you offering that as an amendment?
Yes, I am.
Okay, hold on. Hold up. All right, so I guess we'll have to take it. Is there a second on that amendment? Is that Delegate Queen? Is that a second?
That is definitely a second.
Okay, all right. So we'll open it up for this. Is there a discussion? Let me see here. All right. Well, I'll allow HABC to offer any final or any words real quick before we take a vote.
Yes, I would offer that the stock that we're speaking of, that Delegate Lehman shared the ages of, not many other entities have the age stock that we have to the magnitude that we have. We're the largest landlord in Baltimore. So it really is not a matter of, again, wanting to restrict anyone from having air conditioning. And to the point about if they're asked for it, most of our units do have the window units. What we were speaking of is when someone submits a reasonable accommodation, we would certainly, HABC would certainly work with them to be able to make sure that that request was satisfied. So the idea that we want to make sure resonates is that, again, we are in the process of redeveloping this older housing stock so that these upgrades can be properly included when we do the new housing, instead of trying to retrofit 80-year-old housing and creating problems that we don't need to, when we can just follow along with the plans to upgrade the housing for everyone, and we will get there. And in the meantime, this is how HABC is tasked between dealing with aged electrical infrastructure, which it doesn't mean everyone will go and request a reasonable accommodation all at once and therefore stress the system. But we do have to keep that in mind when we talk about adding this to every single structure we have at that age, and whether the system can support it, and it will not.
No, I hear you loud and clear. I just want to make sure we're clear. So we're voting on to strike the exception here, but I want to make sure we're clear with council that it would only require for there to be the addition of, it doesn't have to be HVAC, it could be even window units, only if a substantial renovation is taking place. Correct, council?
That's right, Mr. Chair. It's, yeah, for the newly constructed property, and then just to be clear, beginning October 1, 2026, for residential rental units that undergo renovation that includes the replacement or substantial upgrade of electrical systems or heating systems.
So it would only be applicable if the renovations that have been mentioned are taking place already. So it sounds like, yeah. So but then you have one more thing to say? You're on mute.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to add, there's also a section 2 of the bill as a special section that the bill is only applying prospectively and does not have effect on or application to a building for which the permit was issued before the effective date of the act.
Got it. Okay. All right. So Delegate Arentz, then we'll take a vote.
Just a real quick one. So if I do a major renovation, and is there like the whole house needs to be air conditioned units in every window? If that's the case, I can put them in. If I'm doing a major renovation, I can just put them in every room, or is this going to be limited to overall?
So I'll let Ben answer that, but to my understanding is that you'd have to meet the requirements to have that temperature check be able to satisfy, right? So if you could do it with window units, then you can do it with window units, as long as you can meet that standard of temperature whenever they come around and test for temperature. So that's my understanding, but Ben, if you want to confirm. it's for
Thank you,
older
Mr.
homes, that makes sense. Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's correct. As it says in subsection C of the bill, the air conditioning requirements as they're measured relate to the habitable spaces in the unit.
Got it. Okay. So with that said, I think all the information is on the table. With that said, we have a motion to vote and a second on the amendment. All those in favor of I guess this would be a voice amendment to remove the exception for HABC. If you can say aye and raise your hands.
Aye.
All right. Let's see here. And I will vote in favor of it. So, and all those opposed, raise your hand, say aye. I'm trying to see a vote from. So is that Adams, you're opposing? If you're talking
on the bill.
No, we're on the amendment. We're on the amendment.
Oh, yes, it is.
We're on the so we're voting on the amendment to strike the exception for HABC. So just to restate, so if you are in favor of that, I'll redo it again. If you're in favor of that, please raise your hand. So we have Weibel, I have Weibel, I have Chi, I have okay. So that the motion stands. So now I think it's another amendment on the bill, correct, Ben? What's the other amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The amendment that you introduced was an amendment to make clear and clarify that, and this was requested by the Public Justice Center, I believe, that it does not preclude a political subdivision from enacting and enforcing air conditioning requirements that are more stringent than the requirements of this section.
Move the amendment.
Is there a motion to move the amendment?
Second.
Move the amendment.
All right. All those in favor of that amendment, say aye. Raise your hand. All right. It's like, all right. All those opposed, raise your hand. I don't have anybody opposing. All right. Is there a motion to move the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Second. All right. Second. All those in favor of the bill as amended, raise your hand.
Aye.
And say aye. All right. And all those in opposition, say nay. Adams. Delegate Bandar, if you can mute. Let's see here. Adams. All right. So it's like it's a part. Weibel, where are you? You're a no as well. All right. So party line vote. All right. House Bill. I forgot what number it is. Sorry, y'all.
153.
House Bill 153 moves as amended. All right. We're on
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Last bill, House Bill 80. This is the fee disclosure bill. I don't know if Delegate Vogel is still with us. He is. He's stuck around, or someone from his office. There he is. All right. All right. Look like you're ready to film something for Instagram. All right. Love the flags in the back. All right. So real quick, I think the bill, we discussed the bill as amended. The amendments were brought forth to ensure that trash was included as a utility and not considered a fee. We have IOBAs in favor of those amendments. The realtors also added a very minor amendment, pun intended, because they got rid of the word minor. I think that the discussion that we ended on last time was the penalty provision of the bill, and ensuring that they were fair. I think there was concern raised if there was any type of criminal penalty. Ben, can you confirm through the bill that there is not criminal, that there's no jail time associated with the penalty? I think there was a conversation there. Can you confirm that there's no jail time associated with any penalties within the bill?
That's my understanding, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at the penalty provision in the bill, and what it's doing is stating that if a court determines that a landlord violated a provision of this section, the court may award damages equal to 3 times the amount of actual damages that resulted from the violation and reasonable attorney's fees. But that's the extent of any penalty that's being imposed by the court. Yep.
Okay, so the court, so a landlord would have their day in court, and they would be able to plead to the court for whatever, if they made a mistake, if it's a minor mistake, we would hope that the judge would understand. But if a landlord has been, significantly egregious with the law, then there's the cap that would be at 3 times damages. Again, that is a may, not shall, just for clarification purposes. So with that said, I believe that we moved the amendments, and we were at the point of we were considering the bill as amended. So that's where we are right now. Any discussion on the bill as amended before we move forward? Any discussion on the bill as amended? All right, no discussion. Is there a motion to move the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended.
All right, do I have a second? We have a second. All right. Those in favor of moving the bill as amended, please raise your hand. Oh, hold up. We got a discussion. Oh, there we go. All right, Delegate Arentz, what you got for me, sir? You're on mute if you're talking. Listen, want to stay on mute.
It's better. It's better that way. It's better that way. I guess the last time we heard this, I think Chris Adams brought it up about what if I own 25 units and I put out a flyer with everyone as part of it, I'm going to get hit with 25 times 25 max, right? And I think that was a big part of, I don't know if Chris is still on the call, but I think that was a big point that we brought up last time. And I think the consensus, at least from my world, was that that's a severe penalty. And I know you say they may or whatever, but that's still a big dollar that somebody could get. I think this is a new bill. I don't think anybody's going to be intentionally doing this to hide something. And once they get caught, I think that fixes the problem. So I'm really suspect, and I don't like the penalty part of it, the money.
No, I understand your concern. I will point out though that the judge can still make the decision on what that amount is, and
I understand that, but I think even in yours and my experience, we see judges doing things we don't understand how they can do them because we allow them that leeway. But I think on something like this is, I don't know how many instances is, maybe Delegate Vogel could tell us how many times this is happening and the experience they've had to actually put the bill in. But I mean, I'm all for disclosures. It's just a penalty on that. And I think that's something we should consider here because we've never had this. And I think making people that guilty on an initial charge, potentially, depending who you go in front of, that could be a different situation. I think Chris is here now. He kind of pushed that earlier. Maybe he'll continue with my rant.
No, I hear you loud and clear, but I just want to reiterate that the IOBA and the realtors have not raised this concern. So it sounds like it's something that they're not as concerned about, but I know you're bringing it up as a concern. I'm not trying to invalidate your concern, but just saying that they are fine with the bill as amended.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, in my world, and I appreciate what the realtors do, but sometimes the realtors don't talk to the realtors, meaning they're talking to the brokers. And sometimes I see this and a broker's fine with this because a broker's looking to sit down and say, let me move as much as I can. And in my world, I'd sit back sometimes and say, maybe it's okay. I'm just bringing up something that if I owned 25 units and I got hit with this, I'd be bankrupt. And I think, as I said, I just think we're real heavy on that penalty unless somebody has something significant to say. I got 25 bad actors out there that do this historically. This is a great bill. Everybody pushes it for everybody wants clarity. Everybody wants all this expression, but we're not going to sit down and make it happen by putting penalties like this out there. I mean, that's not what I don't think that's what we're about to hurt the landlord. But I'm done with my rant. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I have two main problems with the penalty provision. First off, there's a 2-year look back. All right, so somebody can come back after the fact and file a claim and have success in court. And while I understand the groups and the associations that show up in our committee are okay with the bill, I want you to think about the thousands of small businesses that have 5, 10 units who don't pay attention to what's going on in Annapolis, get tangled up in a bill like this with a 2-year look back, treble damages. That's it. So it's not 3 times. It's called treble damages in court. And I just believe that to be onerous. I asked the committee to adopt a version of what we have done multiple times in the past, which is to say on a first violation, this is what it should be, or do the reverse. If there is a willing or a knowing violation, perhaps in those scenarios, allow the courts to do the treble damages and et cetera. So moving this bill out of subcommittee without fixing the penalty provision, I just think it's onerous. If we're not going to change it, or the sponsor of the bill is not proposing an amendment, I guess I'll vote against the bill and we can talk about it in full committee. But I'm pretty sure this will be, something, Mr. Chairman, that'll hit the House floor because this is unusual, penalty language. It's that I've not seen come out of our committee like this. It's punitive in ways that don't match what I think you guys are trying to do, which is create legislative intent that landlords add fees to their leases. I mean, this is on the grade of scale 1 to 10. What's the worst thing a landlord can do? This surely is not close to worthy of treble damages. So you got my 2 cents. I'll wait to see when you guys call the vote, and I'll vote against the bill. But without some changes, penalty provision, you're not making this bill constructive in that regard.
Thank you, Delegate Adams. And I know that this is, I know one thing I will add, I know we talk a lot about, what our committee's done in the past, but the reality is this is a whole entire new subject area for our committee. So I think there's going to be a lot of things we're going to be discussing that aren't the normal things that we do. And I'm not trying to discredit your concerns, Delegate Adams. I think they're fair concerns, but I just want to make sure that we understand that, our committee's a lot different now. So I know that
Mr. Chair, I understand that. May I ask one other thing? Is this not a unfair, deceptive trade practice under the Consumer Protection Act? I have to ask counsel that.
Yeah, we can ask counsel that. We spoke earlier about it. We did not see that as such. I know that creates that's why we asked at the beginning of the conversation around whether or not this creates any type of possible jail time, which I understand that is what that would possibly create. My understanding of the bill is that this would not create that. Ben, if you can confirm that there is no reference point to the consumer protection.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. There's no reference to that.
So there's no jail time here. It's literally just monetary damages. With that said, I will say this: we're going to take a vote on this bill. I think that if we can have it, we can have the discussion as an entire committee. Delegate Adams, look forward to that discussion on Friday when we vote as an entire committee. But for now, I think it's important that we keep the wheels of justice, as they say, moving along, but more so the wheels of legislative action moving along. So with that said, I'll take a vote. Those in favor of the bill as amended, can you please say aye or raise your hand?
Aye.
All right, looks like, let's see here, got clean. All right. Those who are not in favor of the bill with a no, thumbs down or hand up, whatever you want to do.
No.
Just don't do that one gesture with your hand, please. All right, so I got Adams, Arentz, Weibel.
It looks like you too. Good.
Oh no, that's not me. I don't know why my hand's still up. No, it's not. See, AI is taking over, man. Look, AI is taking over.
There we go.
All right, so the bill moves forward. We will discuss as a group on Friday. Look, y'all, this took a little longer than I wanted it to, but I appreciate you all taking the time to talk through these bills. We got a lot of bills. Tomorrow we have 18 bills that are housing bills, right? So we have a lot of bills on our plate. So just know we're going to be busy. I really ask that you all would do your best to carve out this time that we have between 4 and 6 on Wednesdays. Please try and keep this time sacred. We're really going to need it over these next few weeks. We started a little earlier today, hoping that we would get out a little earlier, which is what we're ending at 4:50 instead of 6. But please carve out this time, 4 to 6 on Wednesdays. We're probably going to meet every week in March. So just 4 to 6 on Wednesdays, carve it out, keep it sacred. I'd ask you please do that. If you can't make it for any reason and you're traveling, please let me know on Tuesday, and my office will do their best to get you the list of bills and amendments on the day before our hearings, so you have time to look them over that evening and in the morning while we're on the floor or while you're having your coffee. All right. Thank you all so much. Is there a motion to motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. You all have a wonderful evening. I will see you all tomorrow.